Hey, on today's show, I have something really interesting for you, and I want to profile today Riverroots. Riverroots is a non-distilling producer, which means they don't have distillation or rickhouse facilities in Cleveland, Ohio, where they're based, but they're sourcing their barrels from other companies, and it's kind of cool because you can get to try things from a variety of different states and areas and different mash bills and different companies, and they bottle up what they think are the best. So I have two today. I have their King Triton Rye, and then I have this Cloudy with a Chance of Hazmat bourbon. So let's start off with the King Triton Rye. This is a 14-year Indiana rye, I would assume MGP, but it doesn't say that. Comes in at 118.8 proof. It is a straight rye whiskey, and it is a single barrel. So I am not the, I'm hit and miss with ryes, just in general. So what kind of rye do I like? I like a rye that's going to tend to be more towards those bright sweet notes than necessarily some of the savory, like herbal things. So let's give this one a try. At 14 years, I'm pretty excited. On the nose, that smells great. You can smell the age. You definitely get that barrel influence, but it does not smell bitter or over oaked. It's just beautiful, sweet, kind of earthy, and smells delicious. Oh man, that's incredible. That flavor is just going on and on and on. The I always used to think that mouthfeel was like a lot of bologna, but this just like coats your mouth, very oily. That's delicious. So I definitely can tell it's a rye, but it's not. Again, it's not. It doesn't have like the dill clove kind of thing, which is just not my cup of tea. And predominantly sweet, earthy. I still taste that. That is insane, that finish. Second sip, something that I don't usually get on a rye. I get a little bit of that like cherry cola kind of a Dr. Pepper thing, which I don't typically associate with a rye. Wow, that is something special. And like again, like that, what like I would typically think of like a 14-year-old, whiskey, where you might have like the tannins or the dryness on the back end. This is just like this earthy. It's really good. Fantastic. That is one, if you happen to come across this, whether you're a rye lover or not, this is a must have. It is really special. That is absolutely outstanding. All right, so let's put that one aside. And now let's take a look at this Cloudy with a Chance of Hazmat. So it's a straight bourbon whiskey, another single barrel. This one comes in at a whopping 141.02 proof and is 6.5 years of age. And this one comes out of Kentucky. Now, one thing about non-distilling producers that I've done other pieces before on the difference between non-distilling producers and like independent bottlers. So if like independent bottlers, something out of Scotland, typically you're gonna have the company name and you're gonna see right on the label exactly the distillery where they get their barrels. Non-distilling producers don't necessarily give you that level of transparency. So all it says here is distilled in Kentucky, bottled by Riverroots Barrel Company, Cleveland, Ohio. So other than that, as far as I know, I don't know how you would, determine where this is from. There's a barrel number, but again, that doesn't necessarily mean, I don't think the barrel number would be anything that would be specific to a distillery. Unless I'm wrong, somebody can let me know. So it's kind of a mystery where this 13.5-year hazmat bourbon comes from. But nevertheless, let's give it a try. All right, now, what's really interesting, that the rye has more sort of like aromas, like nice, rich aromas, earthy aromas leaping out of the glass than the bourbon does. But at least on the nose, these are my wife's handmade tasting glasses. On the nose, if you just gave me this and I sniffed it, no way that I would guess it's 141 proof. So pleasant, mild aromas. And again, in a lot of these hazmat bourbons, I also tend to get that cherry, that strong cherry note. Smells great. So that's really interesting. So when it hits my tongue, hits my cheeks, my lips, I don't get any of that heat. It isn't really until kind of going down here that I get a little bit more of the heat of the hazmat. But overall, that's pleasant from that standpoint. Now, flavor-wise, all right. So this one to me, I always feel like there's a continuum between, let's say, like the bright notes like vanilla and caramel versus like the tannic oak notes. And for things like Russell's 15, I kind of felt like the tannic oak notes kind of took over. Not necessarily bad, but this is all about leather and wood. It's not sweet at all. It's astringent. It's very rich. Doesn't have the sweetness. A bit of sweetness up front. But that is rich. It's meaty. I always like to describe it that way. Lots of leather. Like I think of like, like an old catcher's mitt. And that's really tasty too. Now, for me personally, I'm not reaching for a hazmat as like a sipper. Kind of find them maybe more as like a novelty. I mean, obviously you can put an ice cube in here or, proof it down a little bit with some water. So it's really giving me the hiccups. But of the two, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but of the two, I actually prefer the rye. Brighter, more interesting, less one-dimensional. Coming back to it a second time. But I mean, they're both really fantastic. It's just, I think, kind of like what you prefer. So this is I think any rye lover would like this, but I think a bourbon lover would like it too because it's not grassy or has any of those off-putting notes that I don't care for in some of those like 13.5-5 ryes. And I think maybe the age does that. Like I know Michter's 10 rye is one of my favorites for that same reason. I think the age just kind of tends to chill out some of those more like, let's say, off-putting notes like the cloves and stuff. So this is brighter, sweeter, plenty of proof, tons of flavor, insane finish on the rye, and this is going to be more for that age, the one who likes that aged bourbon, rich leather, tobacco. And if you're into that, this would be right up your alley. But just in general, I think Riverroots is a brand to look for. Again, you're going to get things that probably, once this barrel's gone, it's gone. It doesn't give you how many were in the barrel. But I think this is a company that is obviously knows how to pick good whiskey, and it's one that you should look out for. As always, I appreciate you watching this. I appreciate a follow to my channel. It's not so easy to grow a YouTube channel, so I appreciate a follow, and maybe if you recommend this, if you like this kind of content, recommend it to your friends too. As always, I appreciate you guys sticking around to watch these videos, and we'll talk soon. Cheers.